Coming up, the death of a father and son are still under investigation in Oglethorpe County after they were found dead in the back of a room of their home. Mayan Patel has an update on the investigation. Math might be easier to understand for Jackson County students. Grady Newsource reporter Anna Catherine Alderman tells us why.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College at the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
An investigation is still underway in Oglethorpe County after a father and son were found dead in their home. I'm Ethan Monteagudo. Joining me now is Grady Newsource reporter Mayan Patel, who's been covering the story all day. Mayan, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Ethan, this morning I met with Captain Mike Tyndall of the Oglethorpe County Sheriff's Office, and while Tyndall did not want to talk on camera, he told me the initial investigation here in eastern Oglethorpe County is a murder-suicide. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is helping out the Sheriff's Office with the case. The identities of the two bodies found at this home here on Wesley Chapel Road are Jason and Andrew Colvert, a father and son who were found dead in their homes on Sunday. As I mentioned, it's being investigated as a murder-suicide, but the cause of death is unknown. It all started on Sunday when the Oglethorpe County dispatchers got a phone call from Vermont. A relative hadn't heard from her family in 10 days, and that was unusual. So an officer rode out to the home to check on the family, and Tyndall said that's just part of what they do. But when the reporting officer got to the house as part of the welfare check, he saw wet packages outside, and according to an incident report, the packages appeared to have been out there for some time in the rain. The report goes on to say that after he knocked on the door, nobody answered, so he was advised by a supervisor to kick the door in, and he made his way to the back room where he found the two dead bodies, one lying on top of the other. In the police report, he says there were dogs present and that the dogs also appeared to be protective of the bodies. And Ethan, just to recap, the investigation is still ongoing. The GBI is assisting the Oglethorpe County Sheriff's Office. No word yet on when the investigation will conclude, but Tyndall, Ethan, hopes to have results later this week. I'm Mayan Patel, Grady Newsource.
And thanks, Mayan. Local Boy Scout meetings are still a go despite the National Boy Scouts of America filing bankruptcy. Part of Scout law states that never harm or kill any living thing without good reason, and though former Scouts who have been sexually abused have seen that law broken firsthand, one man says Scouting was one of the best experiences of his life. Grady Newsource reporter Bree Wolf explains why what's happening at the national level won't impact local Scouts here.
I mean, I've learned a lot of useful techniques, I guess, if I'm ever out in the wilderness, so.
Austin Lamb, like many other young men, remembers the high points of his time in Boy Scouts. Camping was one of them.
Junior year of high school, I went on Philmont, which is a 100-mile hike in New Mexico.
He's proud of the badges he's earned and proud of his scout troop, despite the news of National Boy Scouts of America filing for bankruptcy. In this press release issued today, the aim is to equitably compensate victims who were harmed during their time in scouting.
The troops that are definitely not even associated with any of these scandals, like, have a great experience as a kid like I did growing up.
Northeast Georgia Scout Executive Trip Selman explains why.
In terms of us being autonomous, you know, we have our own budget, we have our own camps, we receive services from National as a council. Our camp's not affected, we're not affected, it's a national issue.
Each council, being their own legal and financial entity, do not tie themselves to the national branch's bankruptcy. For Austin Lamb, he says what he learned in his journey from Cub Scouts to earning the top rank of Eagle Scout will help him to lead others. Bree Wolf, Grady Newsource.
The deadline for filing abuse claims has not yet been set by the bankruptcy court. You can call 1-866-907-BSA1 or email restructuring@scouting.org to report it. Are you an avid cyclist? Do you walk to work? County commissioners met today to strategize ways to keep Athens roads safer for you.
The number one complaint that I have as traffic engineer It happens almost on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times in a day. They are speeding on my road.
County Commissioners Allison Wright, Ovita Thornton, and Mike Hamby met to strategize ways in which to improve problems just like this.
So we started off by learning how landscape is working for beautification. And then it rolled into what are we doing that is aesthetically pleasing and traffic calming, which got us into issues of speeding.
Our Athens-Clarke County Commissioners are working closely with the Athens in Motion Commission, a group that they've advocated for and that they specialize in keeping our roads not only safe, but more beautiful as well.
They are a group that we support, we've appointed, and we want to have their advice on topics.
Athens in Motion is currently working on a plan to help those without access to cars make transportation a little bit easier.
For me, in just everyday language, it's our job to be the experts on this and to remind the mayor and commissioners what we spent a couple $100,000 putting together and to move that forward.
Meyer's passion for this project is her driving force in making it all happen.
So we're the cheerleaders for this plan, and we're also the lobbyists for this plan.
With annual car costs ranging from over $4,000 to almost $10,000, local government is doing what they can to help those who cannot afford a car make transportation a little easier. 9 months and counting until voters choose the next president of the United States. That means journalists will be covering the campaign trail, bringing voters information that they need to know to make sure their decisions at the polls.
There's about 5 or 6 folks who I talk to on a daily basis no matter what, and on any given day I'm talking to 20 or 30 different sources. So it's very important for both journalists and for PR professionals to have that sense of relationship and understanding of what our jobs are like, and for us to have an understanding of what PR professionals' jobs are like.
Oconee's Team A won the LifeSmart State Championship. Grady Newsource reporter Gigi Kwan will tell us what their next step is. And Jackson County schools are making math a little easier. Grady Newsource reporter Anna Catherine Alderman tells us why when we get back.
Thank you. Did you see anyone tomorrow? Thanks for helping us. Is this fair? You're welcome.
We do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
I love
Can we get strawberries? Okay.
Street smarts, book smarts, and real-life situations both can count. That's why UGA Extension partners with the LifeSmart Championships, because according to them, it is important to prepare kids for life. Grady Newsource reporter Gigi Kwan is going to tell you more about the contest and why LifeSmart is important.
Audience, are you ready for this?
3 Georgia counties joined the Varsity Life Smart State Championship this year. Oconee Team A and B, Columbia, and Gwinnett County. UGA Extension 4-H partners with the Life Smart, and their goal is helping the youth.
I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living, for my club, my community, my country, and my world!
Cheryl Vonderdahl also explains how Life Smart helped the kids.
Kids need to learn about mortgages. They need to learn how to manage their money. They need to learn how to protect their environment.
They had 4 matches throughout the contest. The traditional one, round table, and each team got the questions and grouped together and tried to solve the problem together.
All right, and your varsity champions that will represent Georgia at the national contest in Washington, D.C. is Oconee County A.
Oconee forever.
This is the 3rd year Oconee County joining the contest. Even last year, they got the wild card chance to join the national championship as the team wins the state champion. It's their first time. Coach Alexa Barnes says she is excited and loves to see their hard work being paid off, and they're ready for the national championship this year.
Heck yeah, of course we are. We are going to win that national championship, so go Dogs!
If you want to know, does Georgia win this year? You can check it out at Grady Newsource on April 28th. Many of you may remember timed math tests and colorful blocks to teach you addition and subtraction. But in today's STEM society, math matters more than ever. That's why Jackson County schools are hosting Family Math Night.
You might not be able to tell in this picture, but these children are running to play math games. That's right, Jackson County schools are taking a different approach to teaching math. For these kids, it's not just about learning.
Family Math Nights are a time when they're not on their cell phones. Their families are laughing and they're joking and they're playing math games and they're having a good time, and it's really just hands-on, spend some quality time with your children and then take something away that you can apply to that later.
And the best part for parents, it's all free.
We feed the entire family, and so they just sit together and they have a nice dinner and they get to play some games.
The United States has fallen behind in science, technology, engineering, and math education compared to the rest of the world. This is why Jackson County schools are also focusing on STEM education.
A lot of things when it comes to even engineering and computer logistics and things like that, all of those involve mathematics. So the more that we can give children early so that they feel comfortable in math, and if nothing else, so that it's fun, then maybe they'll consider some of those careers in the future.
Family Math Night also influences what goes on in the classroom.
It impacts the way I teach because I think about what weaknesses I'm seeing and what concerns the parents have when they're coming to math nights, in addition to what we prepare going into math nights, because we're broken down into different grade levels and ability levels as well.
Anna Catherine Alderman, Grady Newsource.
The event is free for families with children from kindergarten to 5th grade. Childcare will be provided for younger children, and the deadline to sign up is Wednesday at 5 p.m.
After the break, I'm going to be showing you the weather with tonight's forecast, tomorrow's forecast, and a full 5-day forecast.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
How
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
And now, the weather.
Good evening. I'm Jack Binder with your Grady Newsource weather report. Tonight I'm going to tell you all about tonight's forecast, tomorrow's forecast, and I'm going to show you the 5-day forecast so you have an idea of what to look ahead to for the rest of the week. So tonight we're looking at a low of around 53 degrees. It's going to continue to rain. We're going to have a 90% chance of showers, winds coming out of the southwest at around 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow we're looking at a high of 56 with an 80% chance of showers, so more rain with winds gusting around 15 miles per hour at their maximum. And tomorrow night we're looking at a low of 41 degrees. It's going to be cloudy with a 30% chance of rain and winds coming out of the east at around 10 miles per hour. So if you take a look at our 5-day forecast here, you can see we're going to have rain the next couple days. But as it gets colder, we're going to be seeing less rain. It's going to get especially cold on Friday, where we're going to have a low of around 28 degrees. Saturday, the temperatures are going to come up just a little bit with a high of 53 and a low of 34. I'm Jack Binder, Grady Newsource.
Overcoming obstacles is the name of the game for the Gym Dogs this week. I'll have more on that when we get back.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys, preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
I'm ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did cats go on vacation? New York.
Did you know parking over tall, dry grass can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
I'm Jillian McIntyre with your Sports Today. Shoulder injuries, tears to ankle tendons, they're just a part of what the University of Georgia Gym Dogs have to overcome to keep winning this week. The gymnastics team overcame the injuries once already to win at last Friday's tri-meet at UGA's Stegman Coliseum. Their next steps? Take a look.
If it's staying the same, then we've been told that that's a manageable level and it might hurt. And so those factors were affected.
Coach Courtney Capetz-Carter says the Gym Dogs are having to deal with a lot of injuries this year.
Marissa's shoulder just wasn't fully there.
But they are finding ways to persevere even with these problems.
And we go really on two factors right now. Is the injury affecting how she technically does the skill? And is the injury, is it progressively getting worse as we go?
Coach Capets-Carter says the season is pushing her coaching abilities in ways she never thought being a coach would.
The communication is really big. I don't know or feel what they're feeling and can't make those decisions without having their honest feedback from what's going on.
Even though she and the team are having to work harder, there is one thing that makes this season so great.
Really thankful that we still have athletes pushing, and we have athletes on every event still working on getting their routines together and getting ready for reasons like that.
Jillian McIntyre, Grady Newsource. Marissa Oakley is a key competitor on the team, but her battle to become the best took lots of practice. It sometimes meant not listening to every word of advice. My colleague Tori Heck and I have her story for you now.
Last season, gym dog Marissa Oakley scored the University of Georgia's first perfect 10 on bars since 2009. This season, she's one of the team's 4 upperclassmen trying to lead the gym dogs to an NCAA national tournament. But her parents, both former college gymnasts, at one point never thought their children would follow in their footsteps.
Like I said, both my parents were gymnasts, and they always said, like, they didn't want to have a gymnast, they didn't want to have to, like, go through all of that. My older sister started gymnastics classes, I think more just to, like, get out some energy, meet some new people, those kinds of things, and then I always wanted to do what she was doing, so I followed along.
She is someone who really loves family. And so I think she probably takes pride in the fact that she's the one from her parents that became a gymnast.
I think it's really cool that I just like have that in common with them. I also like joke around with them all the time. Like, you said you were never gonna have a gymnast, and here I am, so.
Oakley brings the tools she's learned from being a dependable and understanding middle sister to her teammates at Georgia.
Yep, that's Marissa. She's there for you. She'll listen to you.
The past actually 2 away competitions, she's been my roommate at the hotel. Every time we go, and she's just like listening to everything I have to say. If I want to rant, if I just want to talk, whatever. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, but like she's such a good listener and she knows exactly what to say. So I think it helps.
Oakley's perfect 10 at NCAA regionals last year was a moment that the entire Gym Dog squad shared. The last perfect bar score was achieved by head coach Courtney Capets-Carter in her time as a gym dog. Angelique Oakley said that the entire family enjoys watching Marissa's success, even though the rest of the Oakley family's gymnastics days are behind them. From Grady Sports, I'm Tori Heck with Jillian McIntyre.
The 2-2 gym dogs will continue to make lineup changes when they travel to compete against Kentucky on Friday, February 21st at 7 p.m.
For the love of llamas. Love of Llamas had a fundraiser last night with some furry friends making an appearance. Grady Newsource reporter Mary Calkins will tell us more after the break.
Are your children in the right car seat for their age and size? Is the seat supposed to be forward-facing or rear-facing? Did they move to a booster seat too soon? It may be too late to check when you're on the road. Fortunately, you're on the couch. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Don't think you know. Know you know.
I'm a single mother, and I was the main one working, so I never thought that I could go back to school, you know? My sister, my mother, everybody wanted to help me with my kids. I could not have gotten my diploma without my family.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. It's a beautiful day out here. Sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90-mile-per-hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it. Let's go.
Some parents sign their kids up for team sports like basketball or football to learn work ethic and teamwork. But some parents in Jackson County have signed their kids up for the 4-H program, Love of Llamas. Last night in Jackson County, 4-H Club Love of Llamas held a painting night fundraiser. Hear more from Grady Newsource reporter Mary Calkins.
Absolutely correct. There is no one way. Go like
Jackie
that.
Ellett knows how to create art programs from the ground up for children. Now she teaches art full-time at Piedmont College. Plus, she's a parent volunteer for the program Love of Llamas. It all started when her daughter was invited by a friend.
So we went to the open house and the Bring a Friend afternoon, and we both fell in love. I mean, instantly. What I think is really neat about the Love of Llamas is that it really fosters independence. It fosters flexibility, responsibility. They're accountable for taking care of these animals. So they have the job of coming out to the farm once a week to feed the llamas and the alpacas.
Ellett says one of the main benefits of the club is kids learn to be team players and effective communicators.
To be able to cooperate and work together, but not just to work together with people your own age and with your own interests, but to work with all kinds of people. That's huge.
The llamas and alpacas from the Love of Llamas farm are also used in the community.
We've loaded 2 llamas in when we had the minivan, and we would take them to visit cancer patients. We've dressed them up for weddings. There's nothing like seeing a llama walking up your driveway to boost and make a smile come on your face, even if you're having a bad day.
According to Ellett, these animals are one of a kind.
The thing that's so fun about llamas and alpacas are they're just so quirky, and I think I like that quirkiness. And I don't know if that's my art side that likes the quirkiness.
Ellett used her passion for art to create a successful fundraiser last night, where more than 60 people attended to paint alpacas. She says she's always willing to use her talents to benefit Love of Llamas.
We're building just really good people for the future.
Mary Calkins, Grady Newsource.
That's our newscast. I'm Ethan Monteagudo. Have a great night.
Is a student production of the Grady College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia, which is solely responsible for its contents. Views expressed do not represent those of the administration nor the Board of Regents at the University System of Georgia.
Hello. Hi. I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you, and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come
on in.
Brochettes with sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away, not to mention zucchini flower. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that, oh.
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta, a different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Laughing too hard at one of your colleagues' jokes at the office party? He's not even funny.
Warning sign. Those drinks are probably going to your head. Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday post-show critique. I'm Kate. I was SPM today along with Rachel and Sarah. So I thought the show was pretty good given that we were on a big time crunch and really rushing to get stuff in towards the end. We had a great show put on by our first-time director, Morgan, so if everyone could clap for her.
Good job, Morgan.
She did a really good job for her first time. It was obviously very stressful for her because she was worried because she didn't have all the packages in, and so that's just one of those things. Like I've said, it just really like causes a lot of anxiety, especially when it's the first time. Besides that, of the packages that we're in, we had some serious problems with the audio, and it's getting kind of, more and more into the semester. Like, audio really needs to be worked on in your packages. We have volunteers doing audio. Some of them have been around for a while. They know to watch. Some of them, like today, are brand new. And
it's not their job.
Yeah. So it really needs to be even so that it can be the smoothest show possible so that y'all look the best, because we're just trying to make y'all look good. The show was good. We had maybe like one miss punch. Amazing for the first time. Everything needed to be in a little bit sooner, but I think most everything got in, and so, that's really important that we got everything in. So I'll hand it over to Morgan.
Hey guys, so like I said, it was my first time directing, so it was super, super nervous for me because I was new at it and I had done pre-recording, but it was kind of the first time me punching live, totally different experience. But like we've said before, and y'all know this, getting packages in on time is going to be the biggest thing that's going to set us all up for success. And a couple things I did notice when I could look up at the screen was that we kind of really need to be watching our lower thirds, because we did see a couple of mistakes on those, and audio jumping, and then weird cuts. We saw a weird cut somewhere in there somewhere. But really good job. It's coming along really cool. On my end, I did miss punch. That was my bad. I saw VO and I thought I was supposed to take it, so that was my thing. And the biggest thing is getting things in on time and just communicating when changes are happening. Or if you all have any questions, communicating it with us sooner rather than later is something that's going to really be helpful. And then any rundown changes happening, just communication as soon as possible. Yeah. Thank you.
Another thing, we did have a little mess up with prompter. It was his first time. He got a little confused with the arrow keys. It's a pretty confusing thing to do. It's brand new system. And so there's that, but that's been addressed. That was fine. And then the other thing is just sorry to pick on Ethan, but for everybody that anchors, when you're looking at the cameras, there's a red light. It's called a tally light. Under the camera, you look at the camera where the red light is on. So the floor director should be cueing you to the right camera, but be looking at the red light and the teleprompter in the camera that the red light is on for. Because they won't all be on. It'll just be one on at a time. So that means that's the camera that's showing. But yeah. So yeah, good job. Thanks, guys. I thought everybody did good. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Morgan. Really nice. Thank you. Right. So what I have here that I'll be filling in from now on is our grading rubric. And this will help us all to keep track of
the many things that you need to learn to do. All right, so Anaya, if you'll start, and if you'll first let me know who had a pre-show tease today.
Okay, so a pre-show tease in, Mary had hers in, Gigi had one in, so did Mayan. Also, let's see, who else? I think I'm not missing anybody. Yeah, those were
Who
the
did not
pre-show
have a pre-show in?
teases I had in.
Okay, help me understand.
I was just a bit frantic to get everything I needed to get done and get back in time to do my pre-recordings.
Okay, and what time were you back?
Roughly 2:30.
Okay. Right. Go ahead.
No, those are everyone.
Yeah. Well, Jack, you didn't have one because just didn't occur?
No, pretty much, yeah. So I did have an Instagram one for Amanda.
Good for you. Okay. Yeah, and I didn't really give you any leadership on that. And the fact of the matter is, as weather talent, what you do need to do when you're weather, when you're sports, or when you're anything else, you know, I will tell you, when you go out into the world, if you don't fight for your slot, somebody else is fighting for theirs, and they'll run you over. So if at this point in the semester you don't want to promote yourself or your story, that's kind of where you'll be in the world. Because if you can't advocate for you, there's not going to be someone like me running behind you going, come on, you want to get your pre-show, you want to do this? Nobody's doing that. You got to do that. Your producer will come after you. Our producers are inexperienced because we're going to rotate through everything, and it's painful. The inexperience is painful, and I know it is. The confidence that you'll gain from the pain, there's probably a bunch of songs about that, will be only because that rhymes, gain and pain. So you know you have to write a song if it rhymes. Will be worth it, but it hurts. But producers aren't going to chase you down in the newsrooms or wherever you go. They're just not going to do it. They're going to want to work with professionals who have a hunger to serve and to make sure that people watch their stories. And that's what pre-shows do, and that's what Instagram does. It promotes you. In a really fragmented world, you really want to do that if you want to win. If you want to win. Mayan, did you do one? Did you do a pre-show? Good for you.
I was working on cutting one, and I was like, oh, never mind, we don't need it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Mary?
I sent her in a 26-second video of llamas.
Okay. Bree?
I didn't send anything, but that's all me.
Okay. Reason?
By the time I got back, there wasn't like.
Oh, use the mic, guys.
I guess I was also like very frantic, and the stuff that I had before I left to shoot wasn't enough to give to her.
Okay. All right. All right. So let me address that really quickly. You're going to feel frantic until you get disciplined about your work and your priorities. You're better than you think. And you need to start trusting that a little bit. These stories are not day turns because you're miracle workers or because I am. They're day turns because that's what's possible. You have the education, you have the technology, and you have the leadership. And frankly, you have the smarts. But you're going to have to lean into it a little bit. And you're going to have to relax with it a little bit. One of you pulled me outside and said, I don't think I can get this story done. Of course you can get this story done. It was probably one of the better stories in the newscast. But you've got to believe that. I can't believe it for you. I'm happy to be wind beneath your wings. But at some point, you got to fly a little. So be disciplined about what you have to do and understand that these things are not optional. They're, you know, here they're not optional because they impact your grade. But nobody's studying your grade, okay, except you, maybe the Hope people. I'm not saying they're not important, okay? They're the measurement of learning. But when you get out there, you know, you got to do it. It's an expectation. It's a condition of employment, okay? You can do it. If it weren't possible, there would not be that demand. You've just got to find your system for doing it. Different people do it different ways. I know I kid Anaya because Anaya wants a system for absolutely everything. People like that are wonderful to work with because they have a system for everything. Hey, Anaya, give me the system for how the hot water works, you know, in my bathtub. I've got it right here. And that's wonderful. But we're science, and you know the science of it. You got to find the data. You got to verify the data. but there's also art, and that speaks to each one of you. And you guys are going to develop this differently. When I was a reporter, we did not have the social media impetus. I always had the story that I dreamed of doing, that I'd prepped for the day before, the week before. I never, ever in my entire career got to do that story. It always changed, always, always, always. But I always shot my stand-up before I went and shot anything else, because I just knew one day I was going to get to do that story. You know, most of the time it was a waste of time. 50% of the time I could still use stand-up, 50% of the time I couldn't. That was my little routine. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying we each have our own routine, okay? And you got to find one, because whether you do the work or not is not negotiable, okay? Because it can be done, and you guys are smart enough to do it. All right? What did you think of your show?
Well, I thought it was pretty good. First of all, I commend you guys, even though we should have our packages in much earlier. I do commend you guys. You know, once we had the threat of being turned off, you guys were like working extra fast. So I do appreciate that. And every single thing was in. Yes, they had flaws, but every single thing was in, and we didn't have any holes in newscasts. So that was really good. Also, audio levels. That's just something we always have to work on. We have to just make sure that we never hear that ever again. I know that's probably like super annoying to our ears at this point. As far as me as a leader, I was just as nervous as you guys were, obviously. In terms of even still learning jargon and trying to find the right direction and learning to, you know, instead of trying to, because me, the way that I work is, if somebody's telling me something, I go ahead and automatically start doing that. That's just how I've always done, because I feel like I'm gonna forget it, so I go ahead and start doing it now. But in here, it's backwards. You have to like write down everything you need to do, and then kind of go like boom, 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 boom. And so, yeah, I hope I was pretty okay as a producer for you guys. Hopefully on Thursday I'll be a little bit better. But like I said, just for the time that we had, we have to work better on punctuality. But I mean, for what we got on television, I think it was pretty okay.
Okay, what would you do differently?
What I would do differently is, well, I guess me personally, I would ask for pre-teasers early. All the stuff that, and unfortunately this is another example of me working in systems, try to have a list of things that need to be in by a certain deadline in front of me, and then kind of work like that, and then try to kind of hound you guys a little bit more when it comes to your pre-teases, because like that's necessary. We can't just have the anchor talking, even though he did a fine job. So I try to hound you guys more when it comes to your Instagram, or she's more Instagram, but your stories, your pre-teases. Also be very stickler when it comes to the 4:30 deadline when it comes to our packages, as well as me personally making sure that I check every single package and make sure that lower thirds is correct, or even like, for example, with the Jim Dog story.
Whoa.
No?
Are you their mother or are you the producer?
I'm not their mother, but that was, I mean, even though, because one of our reporters, she's not in the class, so I don't think she really knew. So I should have went in and checked to make sure that the lower thirds were a little bit more correct.
It's not your job.
Not my job.
It should be. Listen, you'll be held responsible. Your news director will yell at you about it.
Yeah.
And you'll wear the hair shirt. But at the end of the day, if your name is attached to something, Jack, I would go back and look at my video. You know what your name was today? Your name here. Yes. Is that some sort of family nickname, perhaps? Use my nickname, your name here.
One of the volunteers named me and wrote down my name, how to spell it, and everything.
Well, we're a university, and people learn, and you guys know how I feel about the volunteers. I applaud them to death. They get no credit, they get no money, they get nothing but a hard time. And the fact that they just show up every day is yay. So, they learn too. They learn too. Be careful about taking that on. Be careful about hounding. How many of you have parents that call you every day? How'd you do on your papers today? And calling to hound you? Everybody? Mom, Dad, every day? No? Don't take their place. Okay? These are adults who plan to work, right? Get paychecks, earn them. What do you do? Call them? Hey, how you liking your job in Florida? Listen, just want to be sure you got your fonts in. Who loves you, Anaya? No. Okay. What would you have liked to have had them do differently?
Differently, I think it's everybody kind of had anxiety because everyone was kind of running everywhere, and I think it's because of like lack of preparation. I think what
You
would
think it's
be
because of what?
lack of preparation.
What?
Lack of preparation.
Okay. Be sure we get that.
Yes, Thursday for sure. Tonight, between tonight and tomorrow, please make sure you come in with ideas, interviews, statistics, data, B-roll, something, so that we can work with rather than coming in today, because that stress kind of just ruminated around the room and everybody was just stressed out. I was very stressed out. So something I would definitely advise you guys is to make sure that you come. I don't even know. There's this really cool phrase.
Some of you, yeah, and you know it's bad when people don't do what they're supposed to do, and then the whole class gets painted with that. So I'll call y'all out individually, but I'll call y'all out probably at the end of the semester in your grade. Oh no, what happened to me? Well, really, you might want to come to me midterm and talk about that, or you might want to be prepared. You know, unless is there anyone in here, any one of you? I know this is getting old, but I just want to ask. I just want to feel secure about my future. Anybody here planning to pay my way to the assisted living home that I want to live in Boca? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody? No one? Well, in that case, I don't care about your future. But perhaps you should. Because while you don't have to pay my way to my assisted living home at Boca, you probably want to pay your car payment, your rent, your mortgage, and feed your kids. So you might want to be prepared. All righty. So, any last thoughts, Anaya, or shall we move on to digital?
Nope, that's everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So everyone sent me something, except but I know like your interviews went really late and stuff, and they took a lot longer, and you were,
So are we going to make excuses for them? Nobody gets to make their own excuses anymore? That is just sad. I'd like to hear from you, Ethan, why we didn't do anything digital.
I don't have anything to say.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, please don't, because we don't learn anything. Ethan might have a very good reason, or not, but these can be teachable moments.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was an end, so it's not in.
Kind of like,
who cares if I have an excuse?
well, I will tell you, if there's a learning, there's value in it. Look, I'm a big believer you can learn a lot from a good role model. Frankly, you can learn a whole lot more from your mistakes because they're more painful. You know, they stick with us, sadly. Yeah, but it is like my friend Carol Nealon, God rest her soul, used to say. I think I've told you her quote. Y'all ever heard me mention her?
You mentioned her name, but I
Carol Nealon? Yeah. Yeah. So Carol was the news director at KVUE in Austin. And if you tried to tell her, well, that didn't happen because you go run a crawl. I'm not interested. Tell the viewer. The viewer is the one that didn't have the information. Run a crawl. Hey, I was running kind of late, and I know you wanted this and that, but I couldn't get. Yeah, a crawl is the lower third. She'd go, you can animate it so you can have full sentences for your excuses. Or your reasons, and sometimes there are reasons. Sometimes you guys will be out in the field, and you literally have to prioritize. Now, quick question about your story. Is there going to be, today was the public hearing, is there going to be any follow-up? Because I couldn't hear most of your story back in the control room. Is there a follow-up meeting? Is there any sort of vote?
They propose most of everything is going to be followed up in 3 months.
Okay.
Kind of what I mentioned to you today, the other side of the story is the Athens Movement Commission or whatever it's called, and there's potentially a story with this like local bike shop that is helping homeless people that don't have a lot of money get access to transportation that isn't public or.
That's a really good follow-up story. So if you had come back, if one thing's in your story, I didn't see a bunch of cycling. Oh, yeah, we got to pick up a mic, guys, when you talk. I'm sorry, I should remind you that. Let's say, you know, one of the things about your story, it was about cycling and walking, but I didn't see anybody cycling or walking. That would have been good to have. So if you would have said, hey, Cantrell, I had to go to this meeting, and I really needed to get cycling and walking, and I had to make a choice. I made the choice not to do the digital, and I called and I said, hey, I'm not going to have this, because if I have this, I'm not going to have that. And sometimes those are your choices. And sometimes somebody will tell you, well, we don't even need your package. We're going to have you do a VO or maybe a SOT, but we want your digital. Or we may say, good call. So sometimes you do have to make those choices. Those things do happen. But understand, as you grow in your professionalism, Those things should happen less and less because you do have the capability to go to a 10:30 meeting and to be able to do Instagram and to be able to do another as your skill set grows. But expect a lot of yourself, okay? All right. So everybody else had something?
Yeah, everyone ended up sending me something.
Okay.
But it needs to become just like a second nature. I wrote down some like tips. When you're shooting B-roll, you know, you have to have 10 seconds anyway of like a certain shot. Whip out your phone and take a couple pictures, take a video. Instagram stories are only 15 seconds anyway. No one really watches past 7 seconds. Take a 7-second video.
That's good advice.
And then as soon as you get out somewhere, before even doing anything else, take a vertical video and a horizontal video of just saying, hey, just got here, I'm doing this today. That will make it really easy to like set yourself up for what you're about to do. And then also now you have something to send to me in the event that I need it. But yeah, just think like, okay, I'm waiting for B-roll, I'm standing here doing nothing. I can take out my phone and shoot some more video for social media or pictures. And that just also utilizes your time while you're there. And then
I used to have about 3 years ago, we had bought some of the first kits, you know, with the B scripts and tripods and selfie sticks. And this one reporter, I remember her name, but I won't call her out, but she's doing good work right now. Maybe I should call her out. Anyway, I mean, I made fun of her, selfie stick girl. But her stuff was awesome because everywhere she went, she would get out of her vehicle. That's the first time anybody has used the word vehicle and not been writing some Ron Burgundy news script. And she would have her phone on the selfie stick and she would like, I'm walking into the sheriff's office right now. This story I'm doing today is about this, that, and the other thing. I'll let you know what happens. He has agreed to talk to me. We're going to talk at 10. And then she'd send that. She'd just be walking. It was pretty great. You got to where you look forward to what she was doing, and people started following. So
yeah, like those things, you know, don't overthink it. Just say, just got here, I'm doing this. And then, if I can, these are just some other tips that I so far have worked for me, like that help for like time crunches and stuff. You know, while you're waiting, let's say for your script to be approved, that's when you can cut certain parts of B-roll and your interviews and shots that you know are good. And that way you have them cut. That way, as soon as you're approved, you can go ahead and just pop them in. And then, you know, it's better to be able to tweak something rather than start fresh, like once the script is approved. Like, I know one time I did all my voiceovers and like put everything in, ended up having to change all my voiceovers, but I was able to have the layout, so I just took those out and put new ones in. So those kind of things will help save time. So like no dead space while you're waiting, be doing something, while you're shooting B-roll, be doing something. And this helps on timing a lot.
That's great. That's really, really great advice. Today, Ethan is 4:30, something like that. And I'm going, I approved your script. And I thought, because Ethan and I had talked earlier and he had some concerns about whether he was going to make it or not, but I knew he was going to make it, so I was surprised. I said, surely he didn't default to not making it. And he goes, well, I'm just waiting for you. I said, well, for heaven's sakes. I think what I said was, I'm not on the Psychic Friends Network. If you need me, say something. And so then he said, I said, there's no way you can get it done. You're the anchor. And he said, oh, well, I kind of already put everything in there on the hope that you would approve. And you know what? It was good.
Because you know
it was
your
good. It was easy to approve. So he
yeah.
just went in and voiced real quick.
You know your interview. You know what part sounded good. Might as well cut that. That way you have it ready. You know what part of the B-roll was good. You might as well cut that, have it ready. You just pop it in, change things out. The script gets changed. And then obviously just keeping everything organized in the event that like I had to edit Ethan's package. He had everything like ready for me, organized. I was able to pop it in. Like if someone needs to add lower thirds, have everything written down in one space. So if someone needs to take over, it's all right there. And then another thing with getting me like B-roll or shots or stuff for social media or anyone who's digital producing, like at one point Mary just said, hey, take my memory card. And I was able to get stuff from that because she was busy editing and writing and doing other things. We can do that because, you know, we have time. I went on her memory card, picked out a good video, and I had that for social media. So that works too. You know, instead of having to cut it, send it, like hand over your stuff. So that worked today. It's cool. But that's about it I have.
Thank you very much. You did a really nice job keeping people, keeping our social footprint out there. Next week, you're going to have to start writing digital articles and have your packages in. So all this basic stuff we're having to mess around with. Either, you know, today I pretty much said I'm just going to keep you out of court because there's some basic stuff I'm just not going to go over anymore. You're college kids, you're college students. It's time to move forward. You're in your capstone, and if you don't have it, you're not, you know, hopefully you'll get it, but you may have to do some of it on your own time. That's just a fact, but we've got to keep adding. We can't slow the class down and not meet the professional standards that you'll be expected to adhere to. Anaya, I thought you did a nice job. Just settle down a little bit. Okay. You know, and be willing to create your own show, you know. I know it's hard for your generation. You don't sit around and watch a lot of television news. I don't either. Because I think a lot of it doesn't speak to how people consume news and information and how society and members of society and all the demographics are changing because of this thing. But the fact is, like our visiting professional said last week, you know, we'll have reporting, but do we have good storytelling? And who felt like they told a good story today? Who felt like they produced something that they want to show off to everybody because they absolutely love how they did it and it's really compelling and great to watch? Be honest. No. Yes? No? Embarrassed? Shy? Don't want to be a show-off?
I liked my story a lot, but if I had more time, there were things that I would like to have changed.
So, if you had more time, because of the technical issue you had?
Yeah, so I pre-recorded everything, and you know, we all know how that turned out. So that took about 2 hours out of my day, and if I had that additional 2 hours, I wish I could have sat there and played the things a little bit more. And like we talked about, maybe arrange the story in a different way. But when it comes to B-roll and interviews and the story that I told, and making Jackie a character, I'm proud of that.
Good. And what time, so how long did it take you to do the whole story once you got everything situated with your video and audio?
I'd say I probably sat down in here at 1:20 and got everything in around 4:45. So yeah.
Does that
it's a
include
long
script
time.
approval?
Yes, that like lead, script, everything. When it comes to the actual package, like Amanda said, I was going through and clipping my sound bites, so I knew what I was going to use. Once you approved my script, that was about an hour.
Okay. So that's still a long time. I thought your story had really good potential. Mary, but I think you had plenty to still do a great story. And I think you did a good story. And I think you did make her somewhat of a character. I think you kind of had a grasp of where you were going. I think, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but just having seen this kind of thing before, my educated assumption is you got turned so sideways by the technology issue that it rattled you. Is that fair to say?
I think in the morning, like when it first happened, I was sitting with Jack. I was extremely frustrated. But at the point that I got back out there, it's hard to recreate someone's first interview.
You can't.
You really can't. And I think that that's where the story kind of took a turn. Was not, I mean, she was so helpful, and you know that was wonderful reshooting it, but there was a little bit more magic in the first one. So, and also I had 3 additional interviews that, you know.
So is it fair to say that not having the magic, not having the other interviews, were you as enthusiastic when you got back about this story as you were about your initial one?
No.
So I think that's honest. And I also think what happened to Mary is really important because she didn't have her audio. So what was one key learning out of that you had?
I mean, like I said, I tested the mic beforehand, so that's something, you know, we always know we all test our mics beforehand. But before you leave the scene, check every moment of your video, because when I watched it, at first the video's there, but it goes out. So when I checked the first 10 seconds, I'm like, great, and then I left, so I need to sit there, maybe sit in my car and watch every second of what I need to make sure that the mic doesn't go out.
And I think that's good to do. It might be a little overkill, but I can feel overkill after what happened to you. But it's a good lesson for not overshooting too. But what happened to Mary is going to happen to each one of you. And when it does, the biggest danger is that you don't lose your mojo, or dojo as I like to call it. Because that you're again, we are science and we are art. And she was so enthusiastic about that story. And frankly, the elements that you had, I think you still, with what you had, could have turned the magic. I just think it struck your soul a little, and it was just, you were going to still turn in a good story because it's who you are. You've demonstrated that in this class. But it's just kind of like, guys, But you're going to have so many things happen. Like I told you, you know, for 37 years, no story that I ever planned did I ever produce. Not one. So I had the opportunity every day to have the wind taken out of my sails. Every dadgum day. And for a long time it did. But you can't let that happen. Keep your commitment to yourself. That by golly, I may only have this, but this is still going to be the best story ever. Don't default. Well, I don't have this, I didn't have that, I couldn't do this. Let me just fill 130 so we don't have a black hole in the newscast. That is not to your credit, okay? And that's something you have to mind here.
And that's our show. Thank you.
So, really